Hey, welcome back to 7 Minute Stories. I'm here with my friends Curtis and Meredith Hall. We're matchies tonight. Matchies. Wearing the swag. All right. So tonight you guys are going to tell me your 7 minute story. So we're just going to have a little bit of a conversation. Mostly I'm just going to let you guys talk and tell the story. So who wants to go first?
Meredith, you want to start off?
Sure.
Paper, rock,
Okay.
scissors? Oh, okay.
I'll win.
All right, Meredith, take it away.
Okay, so we are here to talk a little bit about our healing that we recently have experienced. So when our oldest daughter was about 2.5, we started realizing that she was having some health problems, some pretty significant problems. She quit growing. She didn't get any taller, and she didn't gain any weight for about 11 months. And went to a series of doctors, and those doctors were not very nice. Some of them were just thought I was crazy. Like, oh, she's fine, she'll start growing. It's because you're not letting her eat what she wants, those sorts of things.
And it was because she was only eating probably one meal a week, I think, is
Yeah.
what she was averaging.
She refused food pretty regularly, and we couldn't really figure out why. And so we finally ended up finding a doctor that would run some tests. I kind of got extreme, which, you know that a mother who is determined to find a solution for her child is pretty determined. And I started just journaling everything she was eating, every time she would eliminate everything. And so we took that to her doctor, this new doctor, who looked at us and said, looked at you because you were, Curtis took her because I was not able to attend that first appointment because I had started a new job. And she just said, basically, well, these are the tests that I recommend. What else do you want? And so through that process, we ended up finding out that there was a possibility that she might be allergic to gluten. And we needed to go ahead and eliminate that from her diet and see if that would help. So she hadn't gotten any taller, and she hadn't gained any weight for months and months. And we took her off of gluten, and she grew inches and gained pounds within a few short weeks.
Yeah, I would say within a month she was showing improvement and things like that. And I think through that, we started looking at some of the symptoms that you were having, and so you went off gluten as well, and then a lot of those issues resolved themselves for you, and we found that out. So
yeah, so that's when we became a completely gluten-free family. And Curtis was super supportive and just said, if two of us are gluten-free, then all four of us are going to be gluten-free. And
Josie as well had some issues
she
too.
had some tummy issues, but she was pretty little at that time. So we lived a gluten-free lifestyle for a really long time, and just knew that it was celiac. She ended up getting officially diagnosed as celiac, and I was diagnosed with celiac disease, which is a hereditary disease. It's not something that just goes away. You don't grow out of it. It's not like, I think a lot of food allergies that are diagnosed, doctors will tell you, there's a possibility they could grow out of it. Or I know sometimes with peanut allergies, they can do certain things where they can reintroduce it slowly, and that allergy will go away. Celiac is not like that. It's a disease that stays with you for life, and if it goes unchecked, it can create really big problems.
And I think on top of that, several years before even the celiac, we found out that you were allergic to cocoa as well. And so to the point where if cocoa was in the house, any chocolate, Meredith would break out, have hives, have allergic reactions to that. So we had eliminated that as well.
No chocolate? That's like a special kind of hell.
Well, and I think everyone can agree who was in our life group that trying to provide snacks for life group between our allergies and a couple other allergies that were present, we realized that no one could eat anything, and so we had water.
I was in your life group, and I did realize that very quickly. I was like, here's a vegetable tray, bon appetit.
Yeah.
So we were very healthy in that regards. It wasn't, the conversation was more fun than the snacks, I guess. So,
I mean, that's really how it should be, a life group, but snacks are important.
So this went on for probably, it sounds like 9-10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Emmeline was about 2.5 and she's
She'll be 12.
she'll be 12 this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so this was something, like I said, that we medically, she needed to be off of gluten. If she ever ate gluten or dairy, she would get really, really sick, sometimes to the point of needing to go to the emergency room. And same for me. Luckily, I never had to go to the emergency room, but even like taking communion here at church, I'd be sick for 2 or 3 days, just not feeling well. And so we just miserably did not eat gluten for a really long time.
Well, I think, one of the things that part of the struggle too was the fact that our grocery bill went from, I think, about $400 to about $1,000 a month, just trying to provide for the gluten allergy, which if anyone's experienced trying to switch to that or purchase things that were gluten-free, you get a box about this big and it's like $6 for pancakes. It does one meal. And, we would, every time we went to the store, it was like $100 just
for incidentals.
Yeah. I think we spent just on flour alone was $40 or $50 a month just for flour, for like tapioca flour or.
Right, just the different kinds of flours or whatever, because it's difficult to do any sort of baking. And
the taste, there's no taste.
There's no comparison.
So like this table tastes like gluten-free.
There's probably gluten in this table.
It's got a nice grainy texture, which is about like what?
Perfect.
Yeah, it tastes like boards.
Yeah. So anyway, life was just going on, and we were doing our gluten-free lifestyle, and just had kind of accepted anytime we fill something out or send her to a birthday party or whatever, she has celiac disease. This is her celiac disease, or I have celiac disease. And really, we just like claimed it as an identity. And over the course of some years, we decided, we would really like it if this wasn't our reality. Like, we would really like it if that wasn't our reality. And growing in our faith, we wanted healing. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, through that, as we continue to explore with some of the things that that wonderful pastor Motley guy showed us, and some of the other scripture things that we've been exploring, I felt like God was going to heal Meredith of everything. And we had prayer previously, and I don't know what I was expecting to happen. I was expecting like the heavens to open up, angels to sing.
That didn't happen for you?
No.
Surprisingly, no. And I didn't believe when they prayed over us the first time, or we had prayer the first time. And I don't know about you, but I think it was kind of the same thing. Like, I didn't know wasn't sure what I was expecting to happen. But the more we continued to learn, I felt like God wanted us to be healed of that. And so at one point I prayed over Meredith for healing of Coco and stuff like that. And then she was able to eat chocolate and things like that. And then we just continued on this process. Yeah.
Well, and to kind of loop back a little bit, when we previously were prayed for, that was before we moved to Gardner. I don't think any of us really fully had faith that the Lord, I think we believed that he could heal us, but maybe didn't fully believe that he would,
Yeah. Sometimes you go and you ask for prayer and you're not even really sure what's happening. Like, you don't even know what to ask for and what you can ask for.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely valid. Is like, can we ask for this? Should we expect that to really happen? And I think that there was just so much doubt as far as, okay, well, we got prayed for, but maybe we shouldn't try eating gluten today, There just wasn't that confident hope in it.
Well, it's like that. I'm allergic to nuts. I got prayed for. Here's a peanut.
Right,
oh no.
Well, and I think part of it too is, when I grew up in the church, but the church that I grew up in, miracles never happened. And we never saw that movement of God. We always talked about it. It was always preached about, but we never saw a practical application of that carried out in a way that was real. And I think our friend Harv from Ottawa was one of the first ones that kind of really introduced that to us. But I didn't have a faith that would allow that to happen, I guess, at that point.
And just growing.
And, so when we started on these new things, it was like, no, this really is amazing. And we started in this, this study of like, I want to see the miracles of God. I read about them, and I really want to see that happening. Yeah. And you want to talk about anything up to that
Well, I
point?
didn't want to interrupt you.
Well, I could tell you had something to say, so I'm going to let you talk too.
Thank you. That's kind.
Okay.
This is really off topic, but that just made me think of that cartoon with the chipmunks where they're like, no, you go first. Random. Anyway, that's my brain, everyone. But no, I was going to say, I definitely agree with that. I think that we just have been growing and, like he said, really wanting to see that. And I think as we have grown, really learning like what can a really like a dangerous prayer life look like? Like you said, what can I ask for and expect to receive? And he did pray for me this summer over my cocoa allergy, and I've been eating chocolate for probably about 10 months and not had any issues. And so...
And has it been amazing?
It's been everything I hoped it would be.
And
Yes.
more.
It has.
But it wasn't just you. You said your girls also had an experience as well, right?
Yeah. So this winter we had attended a service where a little girl who is 5 years old in our congregation got baptized, and part of her testimony was receiving healing from her mast cell disease. And that was really the moment for me that inspired me to say, you know what, if this 5-year-old little girl can believe wholeheartedly that Jesus is going to heal her, and part of her testimony literally was, I couldn't eat any of my favorite foods, and then my mom prayed for me, and now I can. So it was like this light bulb moment of like, if this little girl can ask that of God and he will give it to her, why would he not do that for my family? Why would he not do that for my children? And it was a little bit nerve-wracking at first because, like we said, we had Emmeline prayed over previously, and we ate gluten, and then she ended up in the emergency room. So it was a little bit scary. Like, okay, I want this. I see it. I believe that it can take place. But really, like, taking that step out in faith.
Well, I would say yes. And then we scheduled it for February 27th.
Yeah.
And we told the girls, this is the day that you're going to get healed. And I think Meredith had them sit down, and they started making lists of all the foods that they were going to eat once they got healed. And so I don't know where all the lists went, but the girl, you saw the lists. And,
Yeah, it was
you know,
long. It was every food you can ever imagine. Well, and Emmeline, our 11-year-old, her first response, I didn't even say we're going to get healed. I said we're going to get prayed for over our celiac disease. And Emmeline immediately said, Jesus is going to heal me on February 27th? And then she started making this list. So it was like, okay, the faith is in the room this time. Her faith is building my faith. And it was just really beautiful to see that, like, heading into that.
There was faith in donuts. There was faith in
Yes.
the donuts. They wanted the donuts. And so we led up to that date, and I was actually working that day, so I had to take half a day off. And so I was driving back to town to come to the prayer meeting. It was Sunday at, was it 2 or 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
And on the way back in the car, I was just praying, and, God told me that, they were going to be healed that day. And, I showed up, we prayed over a whole lot of things. I was expecting, to come in and to pray, for just one thing, and we were going to be done. And then they turned around and they looked at both Meredith and I, and they said, well, we're going to talk about this, 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 and all these other things. And then the healing was like the last, an hour and a half later, that was the last thing. That was the last thing we did.
Well, and I remember this happened because we had left Hostess cupcakes in our office, right?
No, it was the donuts from the service that didn't get eaten, and so they were like laying on the table next to the sofa where they were sitting, because it was in the pastor's office
in the shared office.
And I think they had eyeballed them a couple of times, like they saw they were there, and so like they prayed over us at that point, and and again, it was the same thing as last time. There was no magical, like,
the heavens didn't
open up, the skies didn't part or anything like that. But I immediately reached over and I grabbed those donuts and I threw them at the girls and I said, eat, go forth and eat, and they scarfed in them about 2.5 seconds, I think.
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty sure they didn't even chew them.
Yeah, it was swallowed them like pills.
Those donuts.
Donut pills, it's genius.
And that night was the transit party, I think, at Urban Air.
Yeah.
And so we had that experience. We went home. Did we eat lunch then or not? I don't remember.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
And then we went out that night, and then at Urban Air they ate pizza that contained all of the gluten and all of the yumminess
and the
all
cheese
and everything, because it wasn't just gluten for us. It was also dairy. It was also all these other things. Yeah, all these other things. And so they chowed down on that, and nothing. They scarfed it like it was going out of business. And I think Josie was hiding pizza in her shirt. She was going to bring it home just in case. I don't know. And so, we came home. There were no issues that night. And I believe you made something that I don't remember what you made, but it had gluten in it too.
It was delicious, whatever it was. I remember that.
Yeah.
So you guys just been eating whatever you want. They've been eating whatever they want.
Well,
within reason.
Well, mostly.
Yeah.
So that first day, so Sunday, I didn't have any trouble, but then Monday, I started having a pretty significant stomach ache and a little bit of doubt. And I told him, it was right at dinner time, and I said, I have to go lay down. Like, I do not feel well. I'm going to be very ill. And so I went and laid down, and he came upstairs a few minutes later and laid his hands on me and prayed. And we haven't had any trouble since then.
So we've enjoyed the wonderful fruits of labor, from Debbie and Hostess
Little Debbie.
and Keebler, those little guys. They're wonderful.
Welcome to the wonderful world of junk food.
And it's just been one of those things where, through this season of life that we've been going through, I've been praying for provision, and that this is one of the ways that God has provided for us, because our, just the way that, the amount of money we're saving now from not having to buy into those gluten-free things is amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, praise God, man. That's awesome. So happy for you guys. I love to see when people get their healing and when Jesus moves in your life. So thanks for coming on and sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We'll see you guys next time on 7 Minute Stories.